We are live with George Giant Slayer. We're going to be talking about the end of woke and Harry and Meghan. We're going to be showing clips from George's documentary, Woke is Dead. This is the funeral. Watch the eulogy. And, you know, with Trump coming in and signing the executive orders and reversing a lot of this stuff, it's especially pertinent right now, isn't it? And how long has this project been in the works for you, George? And huge thank you for coming back, my friend.
Oh, always a pleasure. Always great to see you. Always. I've been working on it for 3.5 years. I poured myself into it. I was just waiting for the election to see, what was going to happen. But spent a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to put it together. Kind of like documenting the crazy as it happened.
Did you have a time frame on when you calculated that the pendulum would start to swing the other way, or were you just anticipating it would eventually?
Well, no, like everything, history's a cycle. So I was like, I started to see the swings happening when Hollywood studios, because, I always follow that. When the Hollywood studios began to take notice, and when they started attacking YouTubers and critics, and they were like, you're like, okay, if they were all powerful, they wouldn't be sitting here. What the heck? Something has gone wrong with my camera. My apologies. When
we can hear you fine.
Okay, great. When the studios started to attack reviewers, movie critics, people with, their own independent thoughts, I was like, okay, this is where it's beginning to swing. Of course, it took several years, and we still have a long way to go to finally bury woke, which is why I wrote it. Because you're always going to have, kind of like after World War II, you still had Japanese fighters isolated on islands who are carrying on the work of the emperor. They're like, no, we're going to fight till the end. We're still going to have kind of like those guerrillas of the ideology who are going to continue to battle for woke. So whenever you have an idea that enters into the world, I've always viewed like 3 basic things happen. It takes off and it becomes like the sun. Everybody embraces it and it shines brightly. It's good and positive. Or it's something dark like woke and it darkens the skies. But third, once it's rejected, it's buried. So I'm like, we need to have kind of like an official funeral where everybody comes together. They rally together like a battle cry and go, this is done. Here's the funeral. We're burying it. Because anyone that comes after that and says, no, it's still here, they look like lunatics.
Right. That raises so many questions, George. And I find this subject fascinating. How did it get so prevalent whereby our schools, our police, our government, they're all enforcing these laws that, with hindsight, when Trump signed the executive order, some of it just seems it goes completely against common sense.
Oh my God.
How did it get that extreme and that prevalent?
Well, I can just tell you just what happened 2 days ago in Colorado, and I'll answer the question. 2 days ago in Colorado, the Colorado legislature passed a bill that if you misgender your child, the state can take away your kid. Take away, snatch, grab, gone. Done. That's the woke insanity. And woke pretty much started, the original idea of woke started around the 50s, which was about equality. Good. Well, it started off as something good, but like everything else, it got hijacked. This modern rendition of woke is nothing more than an ideology that was targeted to losers, to the lazy, to people who were broken. It's like I say in the video, woke was given to every broken toy in the world. And they told them that you can feel normal if you go out and break the world. And think about how many people are lazy today. How many people don't want to work? How many people think that life should be easy? We've seen TikTok videos, Instagram reels, YouTube shorts where you hear somebody who's like, why do I have to work? I was listening to some of these videos as I was writing. They're like, why do I have to work? I'm 25 years old and I'm losing the majority of my life having to work from 9 to 5. And that's just to pay my bills. That's just to feed my face. How come? What kind of unjust society is this that someone is not paying for everything, feeding me so I can live my life? I'm like, that's who they went after. And they built up an army. But the problem is common sense always rules. So it's been trying to kick crazy to the curb for a long time. And it's the fact that people who aren't plugged into the news on a daily basis or to social media, They were having to find out about it word through mouth. If it hadn't happened in their state, if they hadn't known someone that it occurred to, if their child hadn't been impacted, it had to hit them. And when it started happening in the pocketbook in this country, when woke ideologies really were embraced by the mainstream political establishment, the government, and that started impacting people's finances, where, you know, eggs here in certain states were costing $18 a dozen. People are like, wait, why is this happening? So then they start going down the rabbit hole and go, oh, I see. And that started waking people up. You started seeing more Hollywood movies becoming box office bombs, no matter how much money they spend, because people are like, look, I want to have these conversations with my child at a time when I'm ready to. I just want you to entertain me. Stick to storytelling. Don't give me lectures. And so it trickled out through there. Then you have the mainstream media, which is another monologue I'm writing about right now. It'll take me a little while, but about kind of like how we went from the news being a trusted source when it originally began to what it's become today, which is basically a commercial break for pharmaceutical ads and lobbyists. So that's pretty much where woke started. Appeal to losers, promise them that they'll feel special and be special as long as they break the world.
So with Trump signing these executive orders and stuff at the federal level, does that still mean that there's still a huge woke movement trying to counteract what Trump is trying to achieve? It's not just gone away overnight, has it? Is there a battle going on?
There is a battle going on, but it's primarily an AstroTurf battle. Like they had the April 5th, where it's like everybody, all these what I call rent-a-rioters went across the country in different states. And they're like, we're taking our nation back from Trump. How dare Trump and Musk, you know, try to clean out fraud and waste from the government? How dare they go after these embedded bureaucrats who have built their kingdoms over the last 20 years? But that's not how they sell it. They're like, keep your hands off of our health care, our Medicare, or Medicaid. They're like, wait a minute, nobody's touching that. They've said it a million times. They're just going after the fraud, the people who are on the rolls illegally, the people who are abusing it. So yeah, there is, but it's primarily funded. It's not what I would consider to be a natural movement, a grassroots movement that has grown up. Again, you got the kooks and the quacks. And then you have the NGOs, which have been starved of funds lately, which are supporting it with whatever they have left.
So what were your thoughts on US aid when it all came out about the various directions money was going to for US aid?
You mean like the $72,000 that went to Ireland so they could put on a play called DEI? Because there's nothing like DEI in song form, you know, or Vietnam or Ecuador, or for trans surgeries and plays and theatrical musicals. Or what was it? Was it Botswana or Thailand, where it was $7 million, where they spent money to train journalists how not to use, you know, non-binary, non-gendered language, you know, not to abuse it, to properly write their pieces. It's nuts. Again, but that's how they were able to build steam, spend all this money coming from USAID, which is basically a slush fund, and hook people up to it so their paychecks are connected to it, right? It's kind of like if you want to, because I love the UK, you know that. It's like my cousin's across the pond. I have family there, and so I wrote a little bit about it in the woke monologues, and now I'm again writing a third monologue about the United Kingdom because I want to help as much as I can. And I was looking at the National Health Service, and I was like, how many people does it employ? I'm like, how could you ever look to reform it, you know, to make it the best it could possibly be, to weed out having issues with being able to provide proper medical care? And what I mean by that is there are many instances when I've been researching at the NHS where people need dialysis treatment, but they almost take this line where they look at your age, they look at your possible lifespan left. Go, oh, you don't fit yet. You get pushed to the back of the bus. And you're like, how would you reform that when my last counting was 1.5 million to 2 million employees? Like, so you've built a network that is going to fight to protect itself. That's the same thing Trump's doing. He's trying to unravel that. People who've built careers. There was a contract that went out for the Department of Education where a contractor, a consultant, was paid $1.5 million for 1 year just to count how many pieces of mail went to the Department of Education.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane stuff.
So could they have got away with this if it hadn't have gotten so extreme? Did the extremity sow the seeds of its own destruction?
It did, because they pushed it too far, too fast, too quickly. If they had slowed it down, it would have been much, much more dangerous. And they're still not giving it up. They're still not giving it up because, again, you have people's wallets are attached to it, their political power. It's like anything. It's like, how many organizations exist today where their primary battle, charities, 501c3s, foundations, is to fight racism? They're saying systemic racism. There is no systemic racism in the United States of America. You have good people, you have bad people. And bad people you will never get rid of. They've been here since the beginning of time. They'll be here till the end of time. But is there a systemic processism in play? No. But those organizations, let's say once they won, once they achieved their goals, they didn't just go, okay, we're going to close up shop, or let's target something else that needs to be corrected and fixed. They just continue to push their agenda, which means they can never allow there to be harmony or unity. Division is the only way they get dollars. And that happens across the board.
So is there a chance then, let's just hypothetically, if the Democrats get in and they are as militant for woke as they have been previously, could it all just resume again?
It could. If everything that President Trump is saying does not come true, if half it, if the economy doesn't get fixed, if America's engine doesn't kick back up, obviously the Democrats will come back in and they will feel emboldened, especially after hating him and knowing that he won't be able to return. They will double down. But right in there, again, it will be their undoing. It's exactly what they did after Barack Obama when they had Joe Biden come in. They didn't do it slowly. They just shoved it right in your face, like Colorado, like I just mentioned at the top when we first started speaking, passing legislation that if you misgender your child, the state can take it away from you. That's not going to last long. People, I don't care how much support there is in the state for you, you're going to find a family who's going to be talking to the kid and going, son, daughter, I don't agree with this. And you want to do what you do when you're an adult, you go for it. But you're under my house. It's my responsibility to build you a proper foundation, to help you build a solid character. And when they lose their kid, that's gonna kick off a firestorm. So yeah, if the Democrats were able to get back in, which I don't think is going to happen after Trump is out of office, especially the way things are projected to go in the future, I think then it'll be official that it's done.
All right, so if you just tuned in, I'm here with George the Giant Slayer, and all of his links, including his YouTube channel, are in the description box, his website, Instagram, Twitter. Please support and follow his work. We're talking about the end of woke and Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. They're all going down, according to the videos on George's channel. And if you've got any questions, put them in the chat. And the first question is from Fifi. I want to know how George Soros recruits his professional protesters and how much do they get paid?
The pay varies depending on reports. I'm not one of them, so I wouldn't know, but they usually find them through their NGOs, which used to get funded through USAID and through various slush funds and extra expenditures that would go to different government agencies. What they would do, I'll give you an example. The EPA, the new EPA administrator, had stopped $20 billion that had been assigned by Biden's staff out the door. It was put in an offshore bank account to fund hundreds of charities, non-governmental organizations. And they use that money then to hire people, push their agenda. That's pretty much how it happens. But basically what that means is that taxpayers were paying for their own destruction. It wasn't coming out of George Soros's pocket. George Soros used USAID like his bank account. Same thing for the Clintons, same thing for Bill Gates. Yes, they use some of their own money, but they primarily use the resources that the government has provided for them. And the same organizations for staff, for people power. Hey, that's how look at these. You want to see a natural grassroots protest, meaning that people are upset and they come together. You can go back and look at the 60s. You go look at the old video. You had hippies running around. Some people painted a sign on their chest, some on a bulletin board, some on a shirt, some on a card. Here, anytime there's a protest, they all have the same poster board. They all have the same script, and you can see it online. where you'll have like, oh my God, media. Like, look, we just grabbed a hold of one of the scripts that someone decided to share with us. And it says, you know, say these lines. Elon Musk must go. Trump is bad. Or they're all repeating it with, again, same hat. And that's funding. That's a mechanism. That's a machine that's been built. That's not natural and organic.
So Professor Hamamoto is in the chat, and he said labor unions like SEIU provide bodies for staged demos.
Absolutely, he's correct, except that is changing now, because what you have is the Services Employees International Union, because of the way Trump is doing the tariffs, are now, which shocks CNN and a lot of the Democrats and Democratic activists, they're like, wait a minute, you are now supporting President of the United States, and that happens to be President Trump. They're like, well, he wants to bring jobs back to America. He wants to bring manufacturing back to America. Tariffs used to be a part of our country. I mean, they were founded on the fact that, look, what did the president say? He goes, my end goal is to have zero tariffs that are reciprocal with every country. So everyone can sell whatever they want to everyone. That's fair. You want to sell your cars here? Good. We want to sell our cars there too. That's good for us both. Whoever makes the best product and makes what people want, that's who wins. I think that's fair and balanced. And so you're having labor unions who've been ignored since basically the 90s, talking about 90,000 factories have closed since NAFTA was put into place. 15 to 22 million jobs have either been exported or onshored, where they had people come in from foreign countries and then replace the people here at half the price. So that's what he's trying to correct. And I think that's something that every country should do. When he says like America first, he's saying UK should have the same model. UK first, Italy first, Germany first. That way you take care of your citizens.
Yeah, it's tricky, and there's all kinds of debates about the tariffs in economics.
I'm sure.
Yeah, and even if you level the tax playing field, you get domestic governments subsidizing domestic companies, which makes it unfair, you know, from that angle as well. So yeah, it's really complex. So Tashel is saying, with all of this dismantling and divide, how will Trump restructure the government for success?
Well, the first thing that he's trying to do is he's trying to get rid of what he calls the dead weight. Again, bureaucrats who've been there for years, who built up kingdoms, and they're little fiefdoms, and they're trying to enact, like they're acting as if they were elected, pushing out agendas of their own, because they're like, look how bloated the government. So his first goal is, well, he wants to thin it down to make it as efficient as possible. Then he wants to restructure it by moving a big portion of Washington and the federal bureaucracy out into the country. He's like, okay. He says the Department of Education should not exist. It should be upon every state. You can apply the same money. He goes, why would you have a federal department running everything? When he goes, just take that money and divide it out into the states and let them run it, because that's local. Each state knows what's best for it, and each state therefore is represented by its people. They're going to elect the legislators and representatives they want, and when they don't do what they want, they're going to pull them out. So that's what he wants to do. It's the same way they're talking about the FBI, breaking it up and moving more people into all the field offices, the EPA for the same thing. You should be in the places where they actually need you, not sitting on your butt in Washington. So those are the keys.
All right, we're now going to show you couple of minutes of George's video, Woke is Dead, and get your perspective on it, viewers. And if you've got any more questions, put them in the chat. So I'm going to start this at 9:50 and end at 11:10, I think it was. There we go. So let us know in the chat what you think about this. George has spent years working on this, so it better be good.
Now, the reality is they only did this for one reason. So every broken toy in the world could feel normal by breaking the world. That's when the oppression industry celebrated its grand opening. They hung up new signs. Victims wanted, now hiring. Hate became the new economy. Victimhood, the new currency. Resentment, a new trust fund. And everyone was drafted into the war. That's when they turned around and told us that smoking was still bad for you, but weed was a superfood, fat was healthy, and 3 Big Macs a day kept the doctor away, because big wasn't bad, it was just the beginning. Lizzo would become your new role model because nothing says empowerment quite like diabetes in a thong. That's when mothers-to-be would be known as pregnant people, because woman had become a slur, when tampons were marketed for men, because misgendering a prostate was a mortal sin, when PETA sued SeaWorld for practicing dolphin slavery, but everyone in Seattle called a 6-month belly bump a clump of cells. That's when it all happened. When Victoria's Secret sadly swapped out their sexy angels for my next door neighbor and Playboy, the magazine I grew up with, sneaking peeks at behind my mother's back, now featured on its cover my girlfriend's dad in fishnets, proving once and for all the world had officially gone mad. That's when discrimination was rebranded as social.
Wow. Very well put together, my friend.
Yeah, I cataloged basically the last 10 years. Thank you for that, my friend. Yeah, I cataloged the last 10 years of woke and how it infected life, from education to the military to entertainment. I had a couple of people ask me, why did I focus on Hollywood? And I always explain this is one of the reasons I covered it in my channel. Same reason I cover Meghan and Harry. Because culture is the way we communicate. It's the bridge that we have with people. It's how we bond with one another. When we used to go into movie theaters, you have a room with 500 strangers all sharing the same emotional experience. That's what people would get excited about. They didn't realize, but it's like, you're all here taking the same ride. And when you had movie studios starting to act like non-governmental organizations and start pushing their hands into education, into communities, propping up political messages and propaganda, it's like, I give an example here. It was right before the 9-minute mark. If I think you go to 8 minutes, it's an interesting message. I think it's right at 8 minutes.
Let me just tell the viewers, if you want to watch the whole thing, I've put the link in the live chat, and the link is also in the description box. It's on George's channel, and George's general channel link is also in the description box if you watch it on replay. And I'm going to go back to, what did you say, 8 minutes?
I think so. It'll start with Kathleen. It'll say like Hollywood. Yep, I should be right at it, right there, I think.
All right, go.
Doing Pappy Van Winkle.
Oh,
because didn't you know, peasants deserve bugs, not luxury bourbon. It was all done so identity politics could turn Target into a fetish store for kids and call it noble, so the mainstream media could kill Merry Christmas with Happy Holidays and declare mission complete. So Twitter could become a truck stop for the FBI and call it safety. So America's founding fathers could be posthumously charged at Nuremberg. Didn't you know? History must be judged by today's standards. That's the law according to woke. That's when virtue signaling took on a whole new meaning. Grifters wanted to empower themselves and help sell the lie some more. It was done so Leonardo DiCaprio could claim to be a climate crusader, all while jumping on his private jet and fleeing California's wildfires faster than he could change the diapers on his barely legal squeeze. So Hollywood could showcase 90-pound girls kicking 200-pound grown men's asses and call it feminism. So Kathleen Kennedy could invent the art of self-insertion and kill movies. And in the process, turn women into men, men into beta males, and transform every Mary Sue into an estrogen-deprived Karen looking for a hormone high by gaslighting the audience. Kennedy killed Star Wars with a message, buried Indiana Jones in a nursing home, and hung Willow on a Cabbage Patch tree, all to declare victory for Gloria Steinem. But what she didn't realize is the fact that she killed great storytelling. See, movies are modern bards. They mark every moment in time from our childhood to the grave. And Star Wars, like many other people, it was special to me. It was the first movie that I saw when my father was my legend, the hero that I loved. The first movie I saw before he kidnapped me at the age of 7, chained me in a basement, beat me marinating in his hate for my mom. And Empire Strikes Back was the first film I saw when I was rescued.
You might want to pause it here.
So from
Okay.
Yeah, because it gets a little dirty. But yeah, that was pretty much it. It's storytelling is what marks our moments in time. There are memories. They're not just movies, because they're our shared experience, and they impact and they ripple throughout the culture.
So many questions then off the back of that. Talking about the parasites capitalizing on woke, these hypocrites jetting around the world, would you include Harry and Meghan in that category?
Oh yeah, that first section actually starts with Harry and Meghan. I think it's it was all done It was all done so Harry and Meghan can play as for-profit philanthropists and flash their paid-for smiles. It's the whole thing. They go around. That's typically how woke embodies itself. They go around saying, "You will, eat bugs while I'm going to eat my cheeseburger. You are going to have to walk there. I'm going to take my private jet, but make sure that you never pollute the planet." It's like Snow White. You've heard about the Snow White news with Rachel Zegler, right? Yesterday, The Guardian, which I was shocked that they went after Disney. The Guardian released the facts that to make Snow White for Disney, they burnt more fuel, caused more pollution than a London airport to make the film. To make one film.
Wow.
Yet, you'll have the same company who spends tens of millions of dollars telling you that it's a sin if you take one or two more vacations a year on a plane. Don't drive there, try to carpool, take a bicycle, take a bus. But no, it's that hypocrisy which will always kill them in the end. You know what I think I find the funniest that no one really addresses is the woke, the people themselves who buy into this cult of crazy. They really believe it, right? If they spent 20 minutes reading history, they'd understand that every movement that started this way, especially when you're talking about cultural Marxism or Mao's Red Revolution or Stalin's, the first people that they take out after they've achieved their goals, the communists with Stalin, is they line up all their original supporters because they know that the pile of bull that they've been served about a new utopia is not real. And those people would become the biggest rebels against the machine they helped build. So it's just interesting. It's the same way with Harry and Meghan. It's like this entire... I really love the way the UK has with the English language, like porcupines. What do they do? Harry. April was the 5th year anniversary of Megxit, right? He went on his freedom flight like he was leaving a war, going to build the life he says he was denied in America. And now what is he? He's holding an iPhone to film Meghan like he's a hostage negotiator. So she can do what? So she can post to her 104 real Instagram followers and her 2.6 million Mumbai bots. The reason people are like, well, I know she's being successful. I'm like, really? You can't see through that? All you ever have to do is add 1 + 1. Her Netflix show, With Love, Meghan, had the lowest rated YouTube trailers for Netflix ever. Her show lasted 6 days on the charts, according to the ratings, whether you're going to look at Nielsen's or you're going to look at Samba TV. And that's supposed to be the same marketing foundation that she sold out in under a half hour. Come on. It's like, really? You're talking about, she's talking to people who need instructions on how to breathe. It's crap.
So I could only stomach 2 episodes of it. What were your thoughts as you were watching it?
Well, the biggest premiere of a character I've ever seen was Edible Flowers. I mean, it had more coverage than she did. It was just like, I didn't know, Edible Flowers and ice cubes on pancakes, on eggs and fried bacon. I'm surprised. I think I put it in one of my videos, Harry, the